What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, out here in the man cave. Tried to go fishing this morning, but once again, failed. Didn't have a trailer hitch. Had to borrow a truck because my truck's in the shop. And then got to the storage shed, realized I didn't have a trailer hitch. And of course, the one I have at home, I don't have a lock for. So no fishing today. Hopefully I'm gonna get out there tomorrow. But while I was sitting here, I was like, you know what? I haven't talked to you guys about fishing in a while, and maybe that's time to do a quick video for you guys and talk to you a little bit about winter fishing, kind of my top 5 baits for winter, kind of things to look at and stuff like that. Let's jump into it, see what we can find. Okay, let's go ahead and just start talking about winter fishing in general. One, it's tough, yes, but you have a chance of catching a giant. And this basically from this time forward, all the way until we get through spawn, you have a chance of catching probably your PB. So it's getting to be that time. They're loaded up. They've feasted on all the minnows and things that they can feast on, and now they're in prime shape, getting ready again for, prepping for the winter, but also preparing up for that spawning time, which is coming up not too long from now. I mean, we're only like a month and a half, 2 months before they start pushing back there for pre-spawn. So anyways, what do we look for in the winter? I mean, winter is tough. It's hard to find things. A lot of the shallow stuff that you used to fish, the fish just aren't there anymore, unless you're on a lake like Tawakoni, where the fish basically stay shallow. But if you're on any of the normal lakes, those fish are going to pull back. They're going to go to deeper water. What does that mean? Where do you fish? Well, obviously, your brush piles are still going to be good. You want the deeper ones, 15 foot or more probably, somewhere in there in the wintertime. I really like to focus on creek channels and dams. Those are like my 2 things that I focus on in the winter. So if I can go up in the river, I'll go up in the river for sure. But what I mean by creek channels is following the creek channels on the lakes, and anywhere those creek channels swing up against a point or make a big bend, wherever their deeper spots are on those creek channels, especially if you can find a deep spot on the creek channel that's also close to the land, those are money spots. Channel swings, you've heard me talk about it, and channel bends. I think those are really important in the wintertime for me, at least, because it seems that I can find a collection of fish in those certain places. So you're looking for deeper water, but it doesn't mean that you have to be, out in the middle of the lake. You just got to find those deeper little pockets of water that are a little bit in more comfortable range for you fishing. But anyways, find the creek channels, go out and look. You'll see right here on the Navionics map, we're just going to follow this creek channel around, and we're just going to pinpoint each area where it makes that big turn, and those are going to be areas that we would fish. So you want to do that same type of thing on your lake. Let's go ahead and talk about my lures that I'm going to use. And I guess I said there were 2 things, right? I said there's creek channels that I fish in the winter and dams, but I also left out one thing, and that is bridges. Bridges are going to be massively huge in the wintertime. Definitely bridges will hold fish year round, but bridges hold fish even more in the wintertime. You're gonna wanna learn how to fish bridges, especially fishing bridge pillars. And those pillars that are closer to those creek channels are gonna be the higher percentage pillars. That's not saying you're not gonna catch a giant off a pillar that's way away from the creek channel, because they just like those pillars in general. But definitely, if you can find a bridge and you can get some current coming through that bridge one way or the other and fish into that current, I'm telling you, you're gonna find some fish and you're gonna be able to whack them in the wintertime. It's gonna surprise you. All right, so we've talked about it. Bridges, creek channels, creek channel swings, creek channel bends, and the other thing that I talked to you about, which we'll come back to because I can't remember because I'm right in the middle of speaking, and of course I'm live. So let's talk about number 1, what we're gonna fish. If it's really, really bluebird skies, maybe a front just came in, it's 35 degrees outside, 40 degrees outside, there's no wind, it's dead calm, I'm probably gonna have to go down to something that's really, really finesse. So in that case, I'm gonna go with this Dropshot. This Dropshot is probably my least favorite lure to use, but it catches more fish than any other lure in the box. I just don't like it. I don't like throwing a spinning rod that well, and I don't like how the Dropshot sets up on my rod. I've got some stuff that actually help you store your Dropshot. I just don't have one on there right now. But the Dropshot is going to be key. You're going to rig that up with any type of plastic baits. Your little minnows are going to work really well. In fact, I had some right here. Let me grab them really quick, and I'll show them to you. Walk over here. get these. So these types of things. Now this is an older package, but this is just a little drop shot minnow, right? Just a little drop shot minnow. Those work. Little drop shot worms, those robo worms. You guys heard me talk about those before. Those robo worms are probably one of my favorites. The 4.5 or the 6 inch. I can't remember what they are, but anyways, they're definitely my favorite ones. So drop shot's going to be the deal on any of those places I talked to you about. The bridge pillars are going to be huge. The creek channels will be big as well. You know, focusing on those creek channels and the bridges. And then when you get down there by the dam and you're fishing around the dam, the drop shot will work by the dam too. So it's a very versatile bait. You can get you drop shot weights like this one over here. If you're fishing down by the dam, and basically what this is, this little drop shot weight here is, if you'll focus in here, this allows you to put your line through it. And if you get hung up, if this weight gets hung up, you just pull really hard and all you lose is this weight. You don't have to retie your entire drop shot. So you definitely want to get the drop shot weights that are like that have the little clip on the top. That will save you a lot of retying when it comes to, man, that's having a hard time focus when it comes to, see if I can stick it closer. There we go. Get one of those and you'll be in good shape. All right, when it comes to drop shot. So that's number one. That doesn't mean that's my number one favorite technique, but that is definitely what I'm going to use if it's slick, calm, no wind. I'm struggling to catch fish. I'm going to throw that. I'll even throw in a bonus here. I might even throw a Ned rig as well. So maybe like a Ned rig on a spinning rod too. I might have to go back to that in the wintertime. Next, while I'm down there by the dam especially, the dam's probably going to be where I would throw this the most. You know, the reason why I like the dam is because I can go up and I can fish shallow, but yet I'm deep, which is pretty similar to what I was talking about earlier with those creek channel swings, right? I'm up shallow, I'm close to the bank line, but I'm fishing in a lot deeper water. So same type thing for the dam. The dam just always seems to attract fish. In the wintertime, the sun heats up all the riprap that's down there. Those fish will actually pull up shallow at certain parts of the day, and you can catch them shallow cranking. Now, the special way to crank in the wintertime, obviously you can do the really deep cranking and burning and turning and burning and turning and all that. You can try that. I haven't had a lot of success with that, but what I have had success with, especially here in North Texas, is a flat-sided crankbait. So this is actually a new setup that I'm going to try next time I go out. This is the actual on a BFS rod and reel, so very, very light tackle, but I have a little flat-sided square bill that's tied on here. Let's see if I can pull this up here and show it to you guys. Now you don't have to go this small. Obviously you can go with a bigger flat side, but just make sure it's flat-sided. And I'm not talking about a rattle trap. Look, this still has a bill on it, so it's not a lipless crankbait. It's a flat-sided crankbait. If I flip it this way, you'll notice, look how skinny that is compared to, say, a regular crankbait. Let me grab one here. This is actually not a crankbait, but it'll work. It's a hybrid hunter. But see how much fatter that one is than the one that we were just looking at? The one we were just looking at was really, really tiny. Comparison size here. See the difference? How much wider it is? So you want that, and you also want one that is silent. So you don't want a bunch of knockers that are out there. You want one that is silent, so that way basically you're just going to be as finesse as you can possibly be with this thing. All right, just dropped my microphone, hoping it still worked. All right, so let's keep moving on. We've covered the square bill, not the square bill, but it is a square bill, but it's a flat-sided square bill. And then we also covered the drop shot. Now let's talk about the next one, and that is going to be a jerkbait. Pretty simple. This one's actually a pointer SP, Lucky Craft jerkbait. This one goes pretty deep. I think it's 10 to 12 feet, something like that. Now, it's just going to depend on the depth of the fish you're at. You might not want to go as deep. Remember, you're not trying to jerkbait right down to them. You're trying to stay up above them. So you're going to do the twitching up above them, and they're going to come up and attack it. Everybody in the market, and I probably agree, I just don't have any. I actually have them on my Christmas list, but everybody on the market likes the Mega Bass, the Vision 110s and the Vision 110 Plus 1 and Plus 10-2, the Vision 110 Junior, all of that, the Mega Bass ones. Problem is they're 25 bucks a piece. They're pretty expensive, and so I have to wait till special times to buy them. But the jerkbait is definitely going to be the deal. You can use this around the dams. You can reuse this around those bridge pillars I talked to you about. You can reuse this around those creek swings and channel bends. that we talked about, this is just a lure that pretty much you can use anywhere you want, as long as there's not a ton of really heavy cover, because you've got obviously got 3 open hooks there. But if you're open water fishing, kind of deep water like we are, this is definitely what you want. And this is a great lure to use when you're using live scope or active target, any of that forward facing sonar. And it's also a great lure to use when they're suspending. So even if you don't have that forward-facing stuff, this is still a great way to catch them. We caught plenty of them before forward-facing sonar ever became a thing with those jerk baits. All right, next up, we only got 2 left. And they're probably my 2 favorite lures of all time. So maybe that's why I kind of like winter fishing, because I get to throw things that I really love. I'm going to start with the boring one first. And that's going to be the good old jig. You guys have heard me talk about this a lot. I switched over from all those football heads and the round heads and all of that, and I just went with the 6 cents hybrid jig. And that's kind of what I've stuck with. This is just a little 1/2 ounce 6 cents hybrid jig with the Rage bug on the back of it. Just looks pretty healthy, looks pretty juicy. And usually, I'm going to use this up in the river a lot, flipping all kinds of cover that I can find. But I'll also throw this down by the dam on the rocks. And I'll also throw this around bridge pillars, the bottom of the bridge pillars, and move it around there. Creek channel swings, I'll throw it up on top and let it fall down from the shelf on the swings on the bends. Roots, systems, anything like that you can find, the jig is the way to go. It's just an all-around, all-year lure. You want to keep it on and get confidence in, because I'm telling you, it can catch you some really nice fish. And then we get a drum roll here. Last but not least, certainly not least, because it's definitely my favorite lure to throw in the wintertime, especially since we got forward-facing sonar. Probably wasn't my favorite before forward-facing sonar, but now that we have forward-facing sonar, you can't go wrong with it in the wintertime. Get up on some bridges, bends, channel swings in the dam, get on those places, whip you out the good old A-rig right here, and go to town. I'm telling you, you can catch giants with this A-rig. You can double up with them. It's probably the most fun thing to throw, I think, that's out there. I think the difficulty part with the A-rig is when you first start to learn how to use it. There's a learning curve to it. You're going to lose a couple, and it's like $35 when you lose one of them, so it's frustrating. So you're going to want to make sure you get really good line. You're either going to go heavy mono or go with just straight braid. I just go with straight braid. I got 50-pound straight braid right onto my A-rig. The other thing is, when we first started throwing this, we made them too heavy. And because they were heavy, we had to have these big old heavy rods. And I'm actually going to switch mine off of this rod. This just happens to be the rod that I always threw the A-rig with. But now that I've been throwing it a while, I'm kind of learning that I don't need a really heavy A-rig. So you can even see on this one right here. Let me see if I can pull it down here. I mean, it's on a way bigger rod than it needs to be, but it's the longest one that I have right now. But you can see here, let me just show you how this is set up. Hopefully I don't stick myself here. All right, here's my A-rig. In the middle, I've basically got a 1/4 ounce, almost looks like maybe even a 1/2 ounce jig head. So I'd really, if I'm going my preferred way, I'm gonna go a 1/4 ounce here in the middle and 2/8 ounces on the bottom. And then on the top, all I do is just get those little tie-in things that put your lure in. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Get those over here. These little dealy bobbers. Hopefully they show up here. I don't even know what they're called, but we're just going to call them screw locks. We'll call them screw locks. I don't know if that's what they're called or not. But screw locks basically allow you to put your bait on there with no hook. So you pretty much got 2 dummies that are up here, right? 2 dummies up here. You got your heaviest one in the middle, which I prefer 1/4 ounce, 2/8. I think this is a 1/2 ounce and 2/4. So this is a little bit heavier A-rig, but that's it. But if you go with that lighter A-rig, then you don't have to go with this giant stiff rod and all of that jazz. You can literally go out there and throw it on a 7.3 medium heavy, moderate, and get away with it and have a good old time. So make your A-rigs a little bit lighter, and you'll be a lot more surprised at how much you'll enjoy throwing it. It won't hurt your arm after throwing it for a day, and it's still just as effective as that big old heavy A-rig. Guys, that's about it. We're working on a ton of breakdowns out on Simplistic Fishing. Make sure you go check it out. We've got a big announcement that's coming out here in a couple months with a new product that I'll be releasing. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. We've got giveaways that are coming, all kinds of good stuff. If I don't chat with you before Christmas, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, And I hope you get out there and catch your PB. Take it easy.